Everyone, welcome back to my next video. Well, we're going to talk about heaters again. It's wintertime, it's cold, and some of you need to know about heat. We're going to talk about a heater that I've talked about before, the Little Buddy, Mr. Heater. So the name of the company, it's very confusing. The name of the company is Mr. Heater. This is a Little Buddy heater. It has 3,800 BTUs. It's small. I've reviewed these before. I like these a lot. I think they have a good sized output. This one's brand new. They're about $75 now. Inflation's really kicking up. These are never used to be this expensive, but now they're about $75. So I'm a big fan of these Little Buddy heaters. They're small, they're light, they're portable, they're indoor safe. They have just an awful lot going for them, so I like them a lot. You must keep an adequate amount of ventilation, or there's real risk to your life if you don't. But if you keep an adequate amount of ventilation, and that's basically an inch, you open your two front windows, an inch on each side, and you got plenty of ventilation. You have to give them a certain amount of clearances, because it gets very hot and it literally will catch something nearby it on fire. So you have to keep it pretty, you have to give it good clearances. And they use these little green bottles, and you got to have these little green bottles. They won't work with any other way to use them. And that is why I do not like them. The little green bottles are so expensive that they make them really, really hard to run for the money you're paying. This is a little green bottle. It literally is a little green bottle. It is 1 pound. That's a 1 pound propane bottle. And at Walmart, that will cost you about $3.50 in a 2-pack. And anywhere else but Walmart, and they're going up in Walmart, it seems to me they've been going up steadily. Anywhere but in Walmart, they're going to be a minimum $6, $7, $8, $9, $10. I've seen them for $10 in the middle of nowhere. These things have just gotten tremendously expensive. And so this part of the stand, so to assemble this, you put it in here and you just screw it on. Standard. If you've ever used these green bottles, this is the simplest thing in the world. And then you put this, screw it on good and tight by hand. Don't use tools. On tight by hand. It sets in here. And you can immediately see a problem with it, I think. It's not the steadiest things in the world, I don't believe. I think it could be knocked over pretty easily, you or your dog, or just moving around normally in the van. You can see what it looks like here. And I personally think 3,800 BTUs is just about right. Not too much, not too little. It's not going to heat a 40-foot RV. It's not going to heat a 20-foot RV. But if you've got a minivan, this will heat your minivan really, really well, and won't be too hot. But you have to use these little $4 to $10 bottles. Now, let me tell you what you want to do instead. You want to buy a propane bottle. Now, this is my propane bottle. I've been carrying it around a long, long time. This is a 2.5 gallon propane bottle. And it fits perfectly in this milk crate, and that's why I've always carried them. So if you buy a barbecue, it's probably will come with the bottle. That's a 5-gallon bottle. And your 5-gallon bottle is literally twice as big as this. This is a 5-gallon bottle that is half. It's just half the size. So it's shorter. This stows away inside really well inside my van, my ambulance, whatever you own. This will stow away really nice in it. That's why I like the 2.5 gallons. They fill in exactly the same way. You can buy a 1-gallon bottle, and I've owned a lot of 1-gallon bottles. They work just the same. I've never been refused to fill a 1-gallon or a 2.5-gallon bottle. Never, once, ever. To connect this to your cooking, any propane appliance, any portable propane appliance, like my stove, I'm using this hose. This is an adapter hose to go to a propane appliance. And this is what you would, if you had a middle-sized or a big buddy, this is what you would use. You would use an adapter hose. So this end of the green hose fits in exactly to this. It's an adapter. If you connect this to it, this is what you would do with a middle buddy or a big buddy, just adapter hose that, and then this end screws into the propane bottle. And you can see it just screws right on here. It's an adapter hose. It adapts this to that bottle. However, and now you can't stand it, can you? The propane, the green bottle is part of the, you can't leave it like this. You can't, this is not going to work. This has to be upright like it was. And so it's not now, is it? And it never will be. So you have to find a way to adapt this to work with your green bottle, because otherwise you're paying an enormous amount of money for your propane. Let me give you an example. This green bottle costs at Walmart, it's between $3.50 and $4. Everywhere else, it's $7 to $10. And it takes 4 of these green bottles to equal 1 gallon of propane. So 4 of these at $3.50 each at Walmart is $14. You buy 4 of these equals a gallon, and if you buy them at Walmart, you're paying $14 a gallon. That's a lot of money, $14 a gallon. Now, if on the other hand, you have bought some of these, but you've run out and you're in the middle of nowhere and you got to pay whatever they charge, and they're charging $7 for a bottle of these, and they do that all the time. I've seen up to $10 for a bottle of these, $9.99. Then you're paying $28 for a gallon of propane. And man, that's outrageous. So here in Quartzsite right now, propane is $2.25 a gallon. I take this bulk bottle, I take this down to the local store. They're all over Quartzsite. They're all over camping areas. Anywhere that people go camping, you won't have any problem finding bulk propane to fill this. It's between $2.25 and $2.50 a gallon right now. If you buy it in bulk, less than $3 a gallon, and that means 4 of these for less than $3 in most places. That's what propane costs. And if you buy the 4 of these, it's going to be between $14 and $30 per gallon. So you can't afford that. None of us can really afford that. You burn quite a bit of these. You're going to get 5 hours of heat. Well, that's about what you're going to use in the evening. So if you go and buy it in bulk, it's less than 75 cents for that evening as opposed to $3.50. So we want to use this heater because it's a really good size. It doesn't take up much space. It's burning the least amount of propane of all of them. It puts out an adequate amount of heat. We want to use this, but we don't want to have to use these green bottles to make it work. I've got a solution how you can do it, and I think this is the best solution I found before. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, then you know that I have shown you another suggestion out of building a wood base. That was just, it would work. It worked 100%. Then you had to carry the wood base around and you had to build it, and I don't think many people ended up doing that. This is so much better. Let me show you this system. You're gonna be really, really glad you've learned about this. So instead of building something out of wood, what we're going to do this time is we're going to use an adapter, a T adapter. And I finally watched somebody. I kept searching for a good practical way to do this, and I finally found someone that was doing this. And I was so very glad I found them. This is a T adapter. This was about $30, I think. I'll put the price up. I forget. I bought it off Amazon. You can buy these on Amazon. And so this can screw directly on here now, and that will be your way it attaches. You can either go inside the threads or you can go outside the threads with these plastic. And so I'm going inside. I'm going to go on the outside. Then it's righty tighty instead of lefty tighty. now I need something else, and this is a Mr. Heater filter. Really, you don't need the filter. See, normally you have to use this hose to adapt between the bottle, the bulk bottle, and your heater. However, the hose is where the problem is. It leaches oil. The high pressure out of here, because it's still coming out as high pressure, causes oil to leach out of the hose, and that's what plugs up and damages your Mr. Buddy heater. And because we've eliminated the hose, we've eliminated that problem. And so you don't actually need the filter, but I'm using it as an extension because I couldn't connect it down on there. And now this won't be easy because I'm just turning the whole unit on top of here, but eventually I will get it. All right, so that's on there really tight. Now, this doesn't fit real tightly, and so it can turn here. What I'm going to have to do is put a bungee cord around it. Now, it's connected through the filter to the bottle. All I have to do is open it and use it just like I normally would. So now I'm going to use this inside my rig tonight, and I'll tell you afterwards how it worked and how I've solved this problem. This is not a failure. This isn't broken. This is the way this works. So today I'm going to give you the conclusions from what I've decided about this system of mounting the little buddy heater. I'm extremely happy with it. Over the years, I've been in cold places and I've bought little buddies and I've used them for a little while, and then I don't like them. I've never liked them, and they break a lot too. The middle size especially breaks a lot. I've known a lot of people that all of a sudden it just won't light. It'll never light, and it never lights again. And so you can go watch videos on YouTube about cleaning all the orifices, and they're just very failure prone, and I wouldn't count on one running very long. It's super, super easy to light. There's 3 instructions on the side. Press the button, hold the button, let it go. That's it. And it is that simple. I can promise you that no matter how afraid you are of lighting a propane heater, you can light this one. It really is simple. It's incredibly stable. You know, this great big box, you got to work. You got to make a decision. I'm tipping this thing over. It's not going to tip over. Now, one thing is my ambulance stays pretty warm. It's big. I've got more space than most of you do in your vans or cars or SUVs, but it's still well insulated and it stays pretty darn warm inside there. So that's not completely comparable to what you're living in, to what I'm living in, but I've been very happy with this. It's worked really well. It's extremely stable. Now, the biggest disadvantage is the propane tank itself has to be inside the rig because there's no hose. I've always had this propane bottle has always been inside my rig with me because I've always been in vans or smaller. But now with the ambulance, it's outside in one of the bays, and I drilled a hole, and the hose goes through that to my stove. The propane bottle has to be inside to work, and that may be hard for some of you. That is considered unsafe. It's considered bad practices and dangerous. And any expert on propane will tell you that you should never, ever, ever put your propane bottle, especially running, inside your vehicle while you're in, ever, but even, especially if you're inside the vehicle. I always have. That's dangerous and it's bad and it's not safe. You shouldn't do it. However, I'm going to continue to do it. Finally. Another big thing you have to think about is carbon monoxide poisoning. These do not put out carbon monoxide when they're running correctly. They just don't. But if they're not running correctly, they do. Any fuel burning device puts out carbon monoxide if it's not set up and running properly. The other thing you have to watch out for is clearances. I have set things on fire in a van by putting them too close to a heater. So you've got to be super careful about clearances. If you have a dog, you got to be really careful. Your dog's going to be moving around, and they're not the brightest creatures sometimes. and they can get too close and they can scorch themselves even, or even burn themselves. So be very aware of clearances. You've got to have clearances. I think I'm going to keep the little buddy, and I will actually use it because I think it's might even be more fuel efficient to burn this than to run my stove, because that's what I've been doing for heat, and I've got a video out on it, just running my stove. I like this. This works for me. Now it's a little bit Rube Goldberg. Kind of kludged it together. Now a couple things more. You buy a propane heater, you buy any fuel burning appliance inside your rig, you need a carbon monoxide detector. Right now, there's 0 carbon monoxide in the air. I'm very happy about that. And so buy a Kid carbon monoxide detector, or any of them. This one's just from Walmart. And it works really well. I just, it never goes off, and I'm very happy. And also, this is just, I always have this. This is something I will have now and always will have. It's just a squirt bottle. The Home Depot squirt bottles are best. They're $3. They're orange because Home Depot loves orange. But they last for years. I mean, these things will fail. Normally, you go to Walmart and buy a cheap one, it'll fail within months. This is just soap and water. And whenever you make a connection on a propane bottle, shake it a little so you got soap. You want suds. And then just spray all the connections all around. If there's any propane leaking out of them, it'll form a bubble. And of course, there are going to be some tiny little bubbles from the foam in the soap, but there'll be a big bubble. I mean, if you've seen a propane line that is leaking and you put soap on it, you get a big bubble. You're not going to mistake it. So I hope this will work for you. Again, the size and the propane bottle in the rig inside with you are the problems that you're going to have to cope with. Will that work for you? My ambulance, it's no problem. So for me, it's a yes. All right, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.